Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Good to see all of you. Happy Wednesday as Prowess goes live. I am very, very, very excited for today's session. But as always, we want to go through an opener. So put into the chat, what is the one word opener that you have today? So how are you feeling? What are we feeling? What's a word that's popping up? Where are we? Where are we? Good, bad, ugly, whole shebang. Let's see it. In the zone. Okay, Aretha. Love it. Yes, yes, yes. Um, I was saying mine earlier today was humming along. Like again, not one word, just like in the zone, not one word, but it's how I'm feeling.
I love
Powerful. Ooh, that's a good one coming from Facebook. Love it. Ooh, working the task list. Yes, yes, yes.
I love
I
it.
had to go ahead.
I said I love that.
Yeah, I know. Doing the work. Yes, Leah. Oh gosh. So good. I had to remind myself, this wasn't with work, this was with a toddler, or dealing with a toddler, progress over perfection.
Yeah.
Progress over perfection. Yes. Oh, so good. All right. So kicking things off, as always, hello. I'm Ashley Connell, CEO and founder of Prowess Project. What the heck is Prowess Project? We help vet and certify online business managers, and we connect them with online coaches and consultants who want to scale. So our OBMs are really the people who love running the business, and again, connecting them with consultants who are the practitioners who want to go out and grow the business and do what they love doing, hence why they started their business. So really excited to be here with all of y'all today because our guest is a friend of mine who is also in one of the entrepreneur groups that I'm in. But the reason why I was so pumped about the topic that she has become an expert in is because my day-to-day job is speaking to all the consultants and the coaches who are looking to hire OBMs in order to scale. Well, what I hear almost every single day is they're trying to describe like what it is that they need in an OBM and how that is different from a VA. And they say things like, "Oh, Ashley, I don't know how to describe this. Like, I want them to just know. Like, I want them to be proactive. I want them to give a shit. I want them to be a thought partner." And I think every time they're saying all of these things, what keeps coming back to me is they want an intrapreneur. So INTRE-preneur to be their counterpart as an entrepreneur. So again, so pumped to have Talia Jacqueline on here as our guest, who she really focuses on communication and entrepreneurship with leadership teams. She's done phenomenal things. I'm going to let her speak to it, not me. So Talia, welcome. Can you give us the quick overview of who you are and why we all are so pumped to be here?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say my word is pumped in terms of my word for today, because it's just things are so great. And I'm so happy to be here. I love everything that Prowess Project is doing. I personally resonated with it as a consultant that's been a consultant for about 10 years. So I think that we're going to get into some really interesting stuff. And my intent and what I'm going to do is make our conversation really valuable to you as an OBM, because I think the work that you guys are doing is very needed. So quick run through of how I got to what I do and what that exactly is.
Yes.
I started a trauma therapy practice when I was in college, believe it or not. I was studying psychology and business, and I went very unconventional in what I decided to train in. So I just wasn't about the textbooks personally. And so anyway, what that resulted in was a coaching business, for a lack of a better term, which ideally was actually not the best term. And what I learned along the way as a consultant, and honestly as a professional, is that the titles and labels that you use to describe what you do can be so limiting to what people understand of you. So when you call yourself a consultant, or when you call yourself a coach, or you call yourself a financial advisor, whatever your title is, one of the things that I think is fascinating is that when somebody asks you, it's the what do you do question. You can never avoid that. It doesn't matter if you're like at a family gathering or if you're at a networking event, everyone always asks that question. And it's worth like taking a step back and listening to how most people answer, including probably yourselves. You answer with like an I am statement. It's a what do you do question, and you identify with it as an identity. I'm an OBM, or I'm a VA, or I'm a consultant. And that's exactly where things start to fall apart, because everyone has these biases and these generalized perceptions of what the title is, which doesn't reflect at all what you actually do in terms of the problems that you solve and who you are as a person and how you should identify with yourself. So I am fascinated by communication. I've spent the past literally 10 years studying the connection between psychology and communication. And that's what we train companies in today. I evolved very much out of just being a consultant to developing a training company, because it just allowed for me to scale and deliver so much more to the businesses that I was working with. So that's the quick run through.
Okay, so I'm loving this idea of psychology meets communication. Makes perfect sense to me. Can you give an example of a reason why a company would call you? Like, what problem are they having?
Yeah, so it's mostly two problems. One is with regards to like their culture and how they set the tone in their organization. How do they actually communicate their company's vision and message in a way that creates entrepreneurs, which I'll define in a minute, which creates this rally and advocacy for what the company does? So much of the time, it's such a corporate jargon message that people don't personally connect with it. So I come in to completely redefine the way, to change the way that they speak their brand message internally. And the second reason companies will call me is because of how it's not being externally translated with their sales teams. So the way that their sales teams go out and actually become rallies and advocates and almost just talking heads of what the company does, it's not translating. It's not totally landing for people. And they most often get resistance because of the way they communicate what they do.
So when you saying it's not landing, the problem that the company is solving and their own like values and culture is not coming through in the salespeople.
In the pitch, yeah.
Such a good point. Well, I'm curious for the audience. Raise your hand if you've worked at a company like this where the values were something that was like painted on a wall somewhere, and the culture was like some sort of rally cry, but it wasn't. It was very watered down and just something that was a checkbox.
Man, that stuff hurts me, because it's really true. It almost goes both ways, right? And I love your question. I love to hear your comments. It either is companies that have like the best values and the best ethics internally, but it doesn't show on the outside because they're using corporate language or they're using these like titles and labels that dilute the value, or they're companies that do not actually have congruence with what they say they are. And that's where the mismatch is. So I'm curious too on your guys' comments, and also which one you find yourselves meeting more of.
Oh, that's a good question. So absolutely, the owner just decided on them alone and did not personally adhere to them. Oh, well, gotta love that.
I hate that.
Oh, yes. Any others that you want to share before we move on to the main topic that I really want to dive into?
Any other comments?
Okay. Awesome. Well, if anyone else is writing, what I want to know, and again, if you can do the show of hands just to understanding, but who knows what the term intrapreneur is? Raise your hand if you do. I will be completely candid. Until like 3 or 4 months ago, I did not. I did not know this term. Okay. What I love seeing is that we have 0 hands up. So
Perfect.
you are going to be creating some serious like light bulbs going off. I want to be one though. Yes, Amber. Love, 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 love. All right. Okay. So can you define what an intrapreneur is and what that person looks like? What kind of uh, roles, responsibilities, or actions um, are they carrying out?
Yeah, no. Let me define it in the way we've defined it.
Perfect.
To us in Visceral, my company, it's defined as having an ownership mindset. You're not the owner, but can you have an ownership mindset where you show up as if you owned the company itself? Because think about it for a second. Every single solopreneur or business owner, yeah, perfect. Every single solo entrepreneur business owner, they would die for people on their team who care as much about the company as they do. Like hands down, that's what they want the most. And so if you show up with an ownership mindset and you act like an entrepreneur in the company without necessarily having the capital and resources that you would as an entrepreneur, but internally, there is such a different bond and exchange of value that gets created.
Ooh, say more about the exchange of value. That's very interesting to me.
Yeah, and you know what, Ashley, I'd probably even elaborate on that in the context of like VAs who are so valuable at like getting the tasks and the administrative stuff done, which is where people really need that help. And you guys as online business managers, where you're acting more back to those words you use as a thought partner and a strategist, where to me, there's a very different exchange of value. Both are extremely valuable, but it's a different kind of value. You're not just checking off boxes, you're showing up with thoughtfulness to what does this consultant not have and why? What's the problem I'm really solving for them? And how do I solve it above and beyond where and how they would expect me to?
Oh man, that is killer. That is, I really like that a lot. So something that's popping up for me um, is a lot of people out there have been burned, right? They've been burned by leaders. And maybe you came to work one day and you're like, I'm going to be this entrepreneur. I'm going to care about this business. I'm going to do everything I can. But then you were let down by someone who didn't see that in or didn't value it maybe. So if one is to show up as an entrepreneur, what should you expect the business owner to give you in response?
Oh man, I love this question. Okay, I'm going to take it a level deeper because this is such a good question. So let's break down what having an ownership mindset really means in the way I again would define it. So there's 2 elements of it. The first element is you have to have ownership of your value, period, end of story. So before you dedicate yourself and throw yourself into working on somebody else's business, you have to have the deepest level of ownership over who you are and the value that you bring to the table. And almost ask yourself the question, and this is kind of a very different way of looking at things, but asking yourself the question in like, how does this consultant, business owner, solopreneur, how have they earned the right to work with me? And shifting that mindset and that dynamic to, wait, they have to earn the right to work with me and get my value. And that's where you know you have ownership.
Oh, I really like that. We talk a lot about how in an interview, you are interviewing the client as much as they are interviewing you. But I really like that way of framing it, especially even thinking about it before you go into the interview. I'm assuming that would give you a lot of really great energy and confidence going in. Oh, that's a good one.
And somebody wrote, Amber Chambers, you wrote, that's a struggle, but I love that idea. I think the struggle lies in where we think owning our value kind of comes from. It's like what we can do, the tasks we can execute on, the things we can deliver. Really, It's you as a person. Anyone can deliver on tasks, like most people can, but it's you as a person and what your personal experiences have been, what you bring to the table because of your own identity, who you are, that makes it a little bit different in terms of the value that you really can share. It's not, I had an amazing mentor once say to me, it's not the words that you speak, it's who you are behind it. That's what people feel.
Oh, wow.
It's not the actions you take, it's not the tasks you do, it's who you are as a person and how you display that when you are owning your value.
So can you give us a concrete example of what that would look like, owning your value? And you can make up a hypothetical person, or how would they think through that?
Okay, perfect. I'll give you a very specific example. So in terms of what your value is, like, let's define that for a second. Anyone can have credentials almost the same as yours. Anyone can do the tasks almost the same as you, but maybe you a little better. That's not really what differentiates you. The only thing, and this goes back to visceral and communication, the only thing that differentiates you are your emotions and how you use them. So here's a very tangible process to challenge yourself in how you kind of deliver or showcase your value. Every single emotion has an opposite. So there's, like, everyone knows, if you're anxious, you're also excited. If you're nervous, you're excited, right? Passion, and anger are on the same spectrum. And so if you want to be perceived as someone who has, like, crazy value, crazy passion for the work that they do, you have to tap into anger. What is it that aggravates you? What do you hate seeing? Almost like what really breaks your heart when you're looking at business owners? What are the things that really tug on your emotions that then that's how you communicate the value that you bring to the table? For example, as an OBM, I love working with business owners because they're totally visionaries. Like consultants especially, they love people, they want to advise and they want to guide. But the thing that kills me, the thing that makes me crazy and angry for them is that there's a limit on how much they can share that with people because they don't have the structure, the strategies, and the processes in place for the company to grow beyond just them. That'd be an example.
I mean, y'all, I want you to write that down and put that on all of your LinkedIns, because yes, that is exactly it. And you worded it so well. And not only that, I could feel your frustration or passion about the problem and how you individually were going to solve it. Oh, wow.
Yeah, we call it own your tone, own your emotions, own your tone. It's one of those crazy things. Like when you think about it, corporations and businesses will be like, let's set the tone for this meeting. And they're not focusing on tone. They're focusing on, like, agenda and, like, the task list. Like, that's not tone. But in terms of how you have ownership of your value, you got to own your emotions and own your tone, because that's what people feel. And it'll totally sound so different.
Wow, that's really interesting.
And I would also take that a step further, Ashley, for everyone listening, because you are all women. You and your emotions are like your powerhouse, like, of all the people. I'm not trying to, like, kind of, men versus women this, but as women, we feel so much more strongly. And if you can understand and maybe even contemplate that that's where your value is in how people perceive you. It's not like you can be this touchy-feely person all the time, but in how you deliver your message, your pitch, whatever, if you can recognize that it is your emotions that differentiate you, and it's your emotions that have you set yourself apart from VAs or whoever it is. Just play around with anger versus anger.
Oh, that's so good. That's really good. Okay, so we talked through, like, hey, if I'm just trying to interview and meet a potential client, a potential OBM client, like how you could show that. And that would be what you just described of your value and owning that and the emotion that comes to it. So you've convinced them that you are passionate about it. You're convinced them that you're an entrepreneur, but how do you show that on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, perfect. So I would probably, and speaking as a consultant, I'd probably say it's these three things. Number one, it's how you own the agenda. Like, how do you own what you bring to the table? So much of the time, people wait for the decision maker or the business owner to be like, hey, these are the things that I need. But as a thought partner, you want to be thoughtful and look at the business as a strategist and be like, this is the problem. This consultant, it has become the business and it can no longer grow without them. So as a OBM, I'm going to strategize and give suggestions during our next meeting on what things I would have you as the business owner consultant really, really think about that I can help bring to the table. So one is only.
That is so good. So good. So I'm going to pause here. Any questions for Talia? Comes back to emotional intelligence, empathy to some extent. Yes.
It does. We like to call it conversational intelligence. Like, it's recognizing the connection between emotions in conversations as well. So not just observing the emotions in others, but using them in how you speak.
Oh, I love that. Awesome. All right. So you said own your own agenda. Are there any others that you would add to this?
Yeah, there are two more. So I would also say it's owning the processes, where I think that a lot of the times consultants focus so much on the delivery of the service and the people management and making the customers and clients feel that, you know, they're providing value, that they almost like lose sight of their own business and what they need in processes, how you can help create more efficiencies, how you can streamline things for them. They need that part of your brain because they're so much of the time using their right brain of like creativity and service and all that stuff versus the left brain, which is more structural and kind of like logical, rational, sometimes even like financial numerically, that they don't necessarily lean on all the time. So I think processes, being a thought partner and thinking through what kind of processes would really help this person, whether it's how they manage their calendar, whether it's how they manage their lead generation or create lead generation. It's the processes that like they're not doing because they're too in the business.
Oh, love it, love it, love it. And what's the third?
It's the strategy. So really helping own part of the strategy, most importantly, of how the business grows without them. I think that's the challenge that not only every business owner has, but as a consultant, you identify so much with the work that you do, that there really isn't a growth strategy. And so really bringing ideas to the table and not just like, obviously there's an execution part that's helpful as an online business manager, but really challenging yourself to bring thoughtful ideas to the consultant or business owner.
Oh, so good. So good. Any questions? I have a couple more and I know we're short on time.
It's all good.
All right. So question for me, you are a consultant, you're running a very successful business, and what do you or have you outsourced right now? So this is more about your business than the clients that you're helping.
Yeah, totally. So for our business, I have about a team of 6 independent contractors. I outsource all of the copy. I outsource a lot of the marketing stuff. I outsource a lot of like the speaking engagement and podcast bookings. And then there are some things that we're doing right now on like live events. It's for us, it is way more strategy. Like it's not, I could say and speak for myself and maybe a lot of consultants, I don't have that much administrative work. I really don't. And it's not about the tasks. Like, I don't even think I could hire someone full-time or part-time for the tasks that we have. It's more, the value would more be the strategy, the thoughtfulness, whether it's financial modeling or structure related. That's the value that I think a lot of consultants don't implement on their own and always need somebody to do for them. So for us right now, it's more on the marketing side. But that's about it in terms of my team.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. And I love that you said that the tasks are kind of like, meh, there's not many. And I think or what I keep hearing and from other coaches and consultants is they're like, my hope is, Ashley, that this OBM is going to come in and automate the heck out of my company. And so I won't have a lot of tasks. And then they can spend more time on the the thought leadership.
No,
So
that's
I
great.
really like, or the thought partner strategy, all that.
That's really
Awesome.
great.
Okay. Yes. So 3 minutes left. If there's not any other questions, I want to ask you again, audience of OBMs, what are some parting words that you would leave with them as far as, or really on any spectrum? Particularly, I say any spectrum, but then I qualify it. Really on this idea of thought partner entrepreneurship, what would you leave people with?
Yeah, so this is pretty, hopefully really tangible after I'm giving you that thing to contemplate around your emotions and how that makes you perceived very differently in terms of value. The deeper the problem you're solving, the more rapport you're going to build and the more buy-in you're going to get. So I think a lot of the times in terms of how people communicate themselves in sales, right? They focus so much on the product. Here's all the things I could do for you versus here's the problems that I know we've got to solve for as a collective on the consultants, business, solo entrepreneur kind of space. So I'd really encourage everyone to think through like what levels of problems do you solve? And the deeper the problem, the deeper the buy-in.
Oh, wow. That is so good. Deeper the problem, the deeper the buy-in. So good. Well, Talia, thank you. Where can everyone find you? This was awesome. I'm sure you may get some follow-ups.
It's my pleasure. It's been so fun to talk to you guys. And I hope that I can share anything else that, is of value to you guys. I think you're doing really good work for consultants and solopreneurs. So best way to find us is Visceral, visceral.com. We've got a little bugs on the website right now. So we're like working through that. So if you go today, you're going to be like, but that's the website. And then you can also follow me personally on LinkedIn, where I'll share a bunch of stuff this coming year. So Talia Jacqueline.
Fantastic. Thank you. Really appreciate it. You have just you've opened my mind so much. And I hope to all of you who are watching, so brilliant. Yes. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Hopefully we will have you back. And if y'all have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to Talia.
Yeah, please do. Take care, guys.
Yes. Speak to you soon. Bye.